Hi everyone, today I wanted to share with you how to use up some supplies. I'm still making Christmas cards, but unlike some other videos, all of the supplies that I'm trying to use up today are just bits and pieces from leftover pattern papers and kits and things where I really don't have much of it left. So I'm pulling together a whole heap of different papers and things to try and work together. So what I've done is, the theme is non-traditional Christmas colours, so I've got like blues and purples and there's some pinks and greens in there, so I've just pulled out all bits and pieces of pattern paper that I've already cut into. The rule was I couldn't pull out full sheets of paper yeah, sort of anything that I hadn't really used a lot of, so this was just little bits and pieces that were left over. For some of them, to make it quick and easy, I've already sort of cut them down into card size, and for others I've just got little tiny pieces there or strips of things, that kind of thing. So they're all the papers that I'm going to use, and I'm going to try very hard not to add any other papers in. So I'll put that to the side. I've also pulled out 2 stamp sets. Normally I'd only pull out one for this kind of thing, but I really like the very traditional stamps, particularly because it's got the snowflakes and things like that, and I've pulled out a non-traditional set as well, which has got a good range of stamps to be used. So I'll only use one or the other whenever I'm making a card, but yeah, I just thought I'll pull both of those out and see how I go with the pattern papers. And then I've got lots of stickers that, you know, I've opened up and only used 1 or 2 off the sticker sheet, so some snowflakes, some Christmas trees is this one here, and then some sentiments and stars and things like that, so I'm going to use those as well. I've just got a little bowl of die cuts, so this is all leftover die cuts from different sets that I've had over the years. I've got a heap of stars and snowflakes that I've die cut out myself, so I'm going to hopefully use up some of those as well. Some little Christmas lights and baubles that I've had sitting around for ages, a strip of pearls that have been floating around, and a couple of die cuts that I've cut out myself. So this is the happy sentiment that you may have seen me use before, and the Amy Tan die cuts that I showed in my last video with the haul. So there's a couple of them there, and then, you know, like I played around with one and put some silver ink around the edge, silver embossing powder around the edge, and just thrown that into the bowl. Bits and pieces in there. I've also got these chipboards which I really love, but I don't think I've actually used any yet. I love them so much that I've been holding on to them, so I think now's the time to start using them. Some white and silver gel pens. If you watched the haul video, you would have seen the twine that I picked up, the twine pack, so this is the one with the white and the silver. A couple of inks, embossing powder, and some glitter glue. So this one's a crystal glitter glue, just to go with the theme of things. So the first card I'm going to show you is using teabag folding, and it's the Christmas tree. So there's quite a lot of videos out there with this technique, but I thought I'd give it a go with the sort of more non-traditional colours. So a lot of the videos I have seen use very traditional Christmas colours in this. So I've already folded some of them. And I'm going to step you through how to make the folds. So it's all the same folds, it's just different sizes of paper to start with. So I've got a 3x3, this is a 2.5 by 2.5, this is a 2x2, and this is a 1.5 by 1.5. So that's all in inches. And what I'm going to do is show you, or step you through, how to fold this one. So what you do is you fold it in half first, and then open it out, turn it around and fold it in half the other way on the lengthways, then open it out and fold it on the diagonal as well. So then open it out and fold it on the diagonal again. Then what you do is actually hold it like a square and pinch the corners in, so you make yourself a triangle. Now at this point I generally check whether I've cut it very well or whether I've folded it well as well. It looks fairly even, but when we make the next fold we'll tell for sure. And this is how you can even it up at this point, so that if you haven't made the measurements exactly correctly or made the folds correctly, then you'll be able to trim it down a little bit. So once we've got it at this point, we've got these sort of flaps that stick up from the edge, and I can see, looking at that straight away, it's not quite even. So I'm just going to take my scissors and trim just ever so slightly, so I only trimmed a tiny bit, but that will even it up when I fold. So I'm going to take, I actually think I prefer this side, so I'm going to take the outside corner and fold it down the middle, and this is where you should use your bone scorer to get a nice clean fold. And then I'm going to take the other outside corner and also fold it down the middle, and a nice clean fold there again. Okay, so now what we can do is start building our tree. So to do that, you just need to open it up. And so open up the second one, and what we want to do is put some adhesive in there. So I think I'm going to use my adhesive runner. And then you don't want to push it all the way up to the top, because that will make it for a very short, fat tree. So we just want it around about there, and you know, you can use your grid lines to make sure it's nice and even. And I think that looks pretty even. So just press that down, and then take your next smallest one and line it up and press that down, and then take the last little itty bitty one and line it up, and there you've got yourself a tree. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can stick these down as well, but I quite like the dimension that it gives, so I'm actually going to leave it as is. Just line it up, it's on a bit of an angle there. Okay, there we go. And so what I'm going to do now is look at how I'm going to mount this onto the card base. So I'm thinking that we want some cardstock that complements the colour scheme. So maybe, yep, I like that. I'm going to trim this. So I've got a card base here, and I'm going to trim this one down just using my paper trimmer. So the way that I measure the cardstock, you may have seen me do this before, is depending on how much of a border I want, I'll measure the card base. So this card base measures 10.5 in centimetres now by 14.5. So what I want to do is I actually want a fair border on this, probably 1/2 centimetre, which means that I want to drop the measurements on this card by 1 centimetre all the way around. So if it's 10.5 and 14.5, I want the measurements to be 9.5 by 13.5. So just off camera doing my paper trimming. And I'll put that spare cardstock away for later, just in case we need it again. Okay, so that gives me a fairly even measurement all the way around. Now for my white cardstock that's going to go over the top, I think I just want a really thin border, which means this was 9.5 by 13.5, and I only want a 1/2 centimetre border all the way around, which means that then I drop the measurements, sorry, a 1/4 centimetre all the way around, so I drop the measurements by 1/2 centimetre. So that means that I want to cut the cardstock now at 9 centimetres by 13 centimetres. And that should give me, if I've measured it correctly, a fairly even border all the way around. Then I'm going to put my tree here, and I think I might put some kind of sentiment across the bottom. Okay, so just going to roughly measure that, and to cut a banner just straight down the middle, and then from each corner in. Yep, that looks pretty good. And what I'm actually going to do, because I think it's sort of lacking something, so I think what we're going to do is put a border around the edge. So I'm going to pull out this Enchanted Christmas stamp set, and I'm going to use this border. All the way round. So because it's not quite long enough, I'm going to do it on the diagonal, and I think I'll do it in silver ink. Could do it and emboss it, but I've decided I'm just going to have it flat because the tree has a lot of dimension. So just line it up. Actually, I think I'm going to have the border go the other way. Press it down. There we go. Now, because this border will go off the edge and I don't want it to overlap, I'm just going to find a scrap bit of cardstock, maybe, there we go, and just line that up so that it doesn't go all the way off the edge. There we go. So another bit further along. Stamp it down like so. Didn't quite get that. We'll see how we go correcting that. Then we want to do the other long edge, which should be fairly easy. And then the same technique off the edge here. I'm just wondering if we can correct this edge a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we've got ourselves a border. I'm just going to try and fix this one as well. Yeah. Okay. Got ourselves a border all the way around, and then what we're going to do is mount our tree. So probably for this one, I'm just going to run some tape down the back of the tree. And it is a fairly dimensional card, and it will sit flat within the envelope, but it will pop open again when people take it out of the envelope. So that's one of the reasons I liked the idea of this. So you could use the adhesive runner, but I just find that it's easier to run it down. I'm going to put a star on the top, so we'll give ourselves a bit of room there. I'll stick that down. Now that we've got that border, I'm not sure I like the purple tag, so I'm going to get rid of that as an idea. And before I stamp the sentiment, I think I'll mount it onto the cardstock so we can see what it all looks like. So I'm going to be lazy this time and use the runner, tape runner. Actually, we go, and again, just using the tape runner. Make sure the card's the right way. Okay. And what I think I'm going to do is use up one of those sticker sheets. Just trying to decide which one. This one's quite large. I think I'll go with the Merry Christmas. And just adhere that down. And then Christmas, and adhere that down. And then I'm just going to find a nice little star for the top of my tree. There we go. What do we think? Yeah, I think that's going to look good. So just with some foam squares, because the tree has such dimension, we obviously want the star to look like it's coming off the tree. So just pop the star on top. And then we've got ourselves a very cute Christmas card that's got that unique design. That's sort of the centerpiece of the card. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned because as I use up the rest of these supplies. Thanks for watching.